survive and thrive on chaos.
You know, I'm starting to think none of these guys have even played Fortnite.
I appreciate you, Jesse. First and foremost, my name is Nigel Chambers. I'm from Big Gold Belt Media, and today we're here to talk about your latest project, Killing Mary Sue, which is available on demand and digital right now. How you doing today?
Dude, I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be here. I'm just fixing my chair. I was just commenting on your setup over there, dude. It's so pristine and beautiful. Look at that.
I just had to come correct, man. They said I was going to be in front of you today, so I was like, all right, well, let's put on the A game, you know?
Some action figures over there. I see some in the cases. I see them.
Yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Yeah. Let me first and foremost, man. I want to start off because one thing, there's a couple of things I've noticed about your career. And you just continue to get better and better. And what I think is something that you don't always traditionally see in a father-son duo is the longevity in you two working together. Because there's this idea of like you working with your father or anybody of any celebrity that's already been established that you won't make a path of your own. And that's been completely false with you because while we can look at Pop's legendary, iconic, for what he's done, you are actually creating a stellar career of your own. Did you? I would love to know what the commentary from your peers, maybe even from him, in terms of have working together for so long and then continuing to do so, which is on the contrary of where you see most of the time the norm to try to say like, one or two, but we're going to go our separate ways. Like, what was sort of the commentary advice, and then ultimately, when you decided what you were going to do, when did it all click for you?
Well, I was never pushed by my family to be in the industry. I never had like stage parents or anything like that. I did grow up on sets watching my dad, which was so much fun and great to see. And as a kid it was so inspiring. I loved performing magic in front of my family when I was a kid. And then when I was about like 17, I started getting into it professionally. I was always in theater arts programs in school and high school. I was always on stage. I did off Broadway when I was 19. So I've always loved it. And it's just I just love telling stories. I love making movies. I love the movie making process. To me, it's all just magic. And I love what I do. And I love entertaining people and making them feel good. And it's such a blessing I get to do this. And I appreciate your compliments. I guess one of the things that I have to say is it's just always about just kind of maintaining the course. Eventually things start to really kick into gear. And, if you can just keep yourself busy and create enough stamina in this crazy business, like eventually it all just kind of the puzzle pieces start falling together.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
not an overnight thing, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. And I think it's an inspiration. I mean, again, you could look at somebody like LeBron and Bronny, who he said he wanted to play with his dad, but the first thing you think was like, well, if you play with your dad, you're kind of taint your own image. You're stunting
Right,
your
right.
own growth. But there's been a lot of respect for that, and I think in the entertainment industry, you are another example of somebody who's doing so that is defined, with the stereotypical way of saying you shouldn't do it. And you're not slowing down anytime soon. We'll talk a little bit about your upcoming projects, but I really got to know about the culture of this set because if you look at this roster on paper, you undoubtedly say there's a lot of badasses on here. Like there's a lot of people you just do not mess with. You know what they bring, but then when you watch the film, everybody shows a side of them that you rarely see. And I don't think you've never seen a cast of so many people who have just loosened up, had fun, still did the work, obviously, but like it was the most unexpected journey in watching this film and fun that I never knew I was going to have, that I never knew I needed, that I 100% needed to know for you. Don't talk me through the motions when you got brought on, when you saw everybody who was going to be a part of it, and then when you ultimately started to see how the film was going to be played out. Sort of what was like this is different.
Well, you're so spot on. I mean, that was one of the reasons when I first heard about this, I was like, oh, another action movie kidnapping thing. I was like, okay, let's see. And then when I read the script, I'm like, this is hilarious. Like it's ridiculous. Like it doesn't take itself too seriously. every single character is outrageous. You know, it's like smoking aces on crack.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think that's what really drew me to this was because I love doing comedy. I don't get a chance to do it enough, and I love making people laugh. So to be able to do like an action comedy for me was like so perfect. And thank you to Mr. Sunshine for allowing me to do this. You know, we had some great improvisational stuff. But like you
Okay.
said, every character has their own funny journey, and they just like you said, they let loose. Like
Yeah.
everyone's having fun. And I mean, I was trying to remember the last time when I saw this movie for the first time. I mean, I was genuinely laughing. Like the scene was hilarious. The concepts, the situations were so funny. You know, James really did a good job, and I just it came together so well. And because when we're on set, you never know how it's going to really come out in the end. And we had a great time what we were doing, but I was just hoping and praying that it would come together the way it was written, and it really did. I mean, he wrote it, he directed it, he produced it, he edited the damn
Yeah.
movie. I mean, he did all this is totally his film.
Yeah.
So can't wait to see what's next for him. And like you said, other people who are going to watch this are really going to enjoy themselves.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Who would you say had the most charisma sort of behind the scenes? Because I think by performance alone, you look at Sierra, it's like I know she was just after the food the entire time, but who may have been a surprise charismatic person? And I honestly like again, your dad is somebody I would never want to cross paths with. We know he's a true badass, but ultimately a nice guy as I met him a few times. But like at the end of the day, you say like him having these ha moments and even the introduction to his character and how it kind of went about your crew of folks who they were the top elites and how that kind of went about, which I'm gonna come back to that in a second. But like I'm guessing for you, yeah, who was like the surprise charismatic person on set?
Busey, for sure. Jake was so funny, and you would never because his face is so like he's such a character. His face, he's just like. But when he starts talking, he's so nice and genuine, and he's so funny. I mean, he was cracking me up constantly on set. He was cracking jokes at the scenes we were doing, just jokes about life, his experiences. He and I would laugh about our own crazy dads. We would. It was funny. I would poke his buttons because I would almost feel like I was the only guy who could because like. He has a famous father. I have a famous father. So I was like, Jay, I know you know what this is like. I was like, in this situation, he's like, oh my God, have I ever? I did this one time, and we had kind of grew up the same way, so we had a really, really fun bonding session through the movie. But he was such a jokester, and he was so good at what he like just you remember, like even when he was in the movie, and he was like, just let me do it,
Yeah.
let me kill it. I mean, he's just his delivery of everything was so dry and perfect. He was amazing.
Oh my God. Oh man. I know there's endless BTS stuff out there. I know it, which I might as well just say out there right now, put it out there that Killing Mary Sue is available on demand and digital. Somebody in the physical media God space, do your work and get it out there so that BTS could be included in it because I need it. Um, when your crew, the Steiners, is introduced here, there is and any time you have like any type of elite force with weapons and arms, I'm always very fascinated about the space that's being used and how the choreography is going to go about. And here we go, is still trying to be serious. At the moment we get, because there's a measure of offense and defense of what's happening, and going after Sierra, who's playing Mary Sue, her ducking and dodging probably is the funniest thing I've ever seen. I want to know for you because you've taken serious roles that you probably felt very reminiscent in, and maybe you kind of locked into the way of like, all right, it's how I had to handle the guns. Here's how we're going to space around, tactically, how we need to move. And then eventually, at some point, you had to say, okay, I have to unlearn everything I've learned to do this. So I would love to hear how the choreography was done. What were some surprises within the choreography since you had way more creative freedom? And then because it appears it's shot in low light, just working with everybody in the space and then having to keep some small measure of seriousness for every silly day that Sierra is doing across the room right now.
Well, I have done a lot of firearms training. I work with Taryn Butler over at Taryn Tactical, and Tatiana as well. They do a lot of training with me, and I'm so fortunate to call them friends. And it's so fun when when you're working with firearms and stuff. Obviously, it's a very serious thing, but when we were doing the choreography for some of the sequences outside, like we were in formation and we were shooting at all these different enemies, and then I get shot, and I actually end up eating the bullet that's in my stomach. I pull it out, eat it. That's what was so fun about this, was because you're able to take it seriously, but then with the comedy aspect, we're able to let loose a little bit and have some more freedom, which is always nice. Because if you're doing a movie like Extraction or something, like everything has to be so on point with what you're doing to keep the realism. But with this, because the subject matter of the movie, the context was so, you know, pooled in reality and not reality, that it allowed us to have that fun freedom in between, so what's real, what's not, which was really nice, especially when you're doing action and then you're implementing comedy. So anything can happen, which is great. You can fire off 100 rounds and never have to reload. It's the funniest part about that kind of stuff. You can add that in there. So I think that was what was really magnetic for me to be part of this character, was to having that comedic stuff that was happening within this, the serious action stuff. And James was really great. He allowed us to be creative and improvise when we were doing these scenes, and I had all these great ideas I brought to him, and he was like, "Oh, I love that, and this is great." One of the best compliments that he paid me, which I really appreciated, was he was telling me that he's on set. He's like, "God, Jesse, he's like kind of quiet to himself, but then when the camera's rolling, he just goes from 0 to 100 like this." And you got to save your energy for what you're
Yeah.
doing, and that character, Chet Steiner, required a lot of energy when he was
Yeah.
on. And so it was really fun to be able to tap into that. And yeah, we choreographed a lot. There's a lot of stuff that we were doing, a lot of big sequences with a lot of people, a lot of guns, a lot of action,
Yeah.
dodging, jumping over couches, getting shot at. So there's a lot of action. It was done well. We had a great time, and I'm just so happy that everyone is starting to really enjoy what we did.
I'm pretty sure if I took a clip of that and sent it in my group chat with my buddies, I'm like, yeah, this was us back when we were like, 10, 15 years old with the Nerf guns. This is how
Totally.
we were getting
That's
down in
how
the
it feels
basement.
every time, dude. That's totally how it feels. You're literally like your 12-year-old self playing with Nerf guns. You're like, wait a minute, this is my job. This is what I'm doing. I'm doing this for real.
What a life. What a life.
Gratitude.
Oh, oh man, I'm totally envious of you, buddy. Um, as I mentioned earlier, you and Pops, man, you all have had numerous projects together, and you haven't slowed down on that notion as well. Why was this one special for you two?
It was the comedy, the levity, having that comedic levity was really great for us. I play a lot of action guys, a lot of tough guys. I mean, all kinds of characters, but I love doing action stuff, and sometimes people don't see me as the comedic relief or something like that. So to have that perfect match was so I was so drawn to that, and I wanted to play that. I love doing comedy. So for us both to have the freedom to be silly was so important. So being silly is just so great, and to see characters like us be silly on camera is really fun for us to do, and I think for audiences to watch as well. I mean, there's a scene in there, I'm not going to say what it is, with him towards the end, that's just, you did not expect that at all. And it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Same stuff with me. Like, I'm this hardened warrior, but then you see some of the stuff that goes on in the movie, and you just aren't expecting that. I think that's what makes the movie so great, is that you have all these really fun surprises throughout the movie constantly.
Yeah. Yeah, truly, truly, truly. And I will say too, like kind of looking through things through critic eyes, sometimes you see certain names on project, you're like, oh, they're protected. You gotta have them for the entirety. And the fact that this is so unpredictable, I was like, oh, what didn't see that one coming. So
Right.
yeah, such a good watch on that note. And then as I also mentioned, man, you're just not slowing down. Per your IMDb, you have like 10 extra projects coming down the line, including something you just recently posted about on your socials about your new project, Don't Forget Me Tomorrow. I'm not sure if you can share anything about that, but
Yeah,
if
we
there
can.
is, yeah, okay, then I'm here for it.
Well, we just announced that. I'm really excited about this new movie. I'm starring alongside Charlotte Kirk, who really is the one who helmed this entire project. I'm really grateful she brought me on board. And it's this great romantic, like crime thriller that's taken place, and it's a very everything is really like toned down. It's a I think that what we want to try and accomplish is having this romantic struggle so tangible between us. And that's kind of what drew me to this character. He the only I'll say he like comes back into town on a motorcycle kind of guy, and then is trying to get his life back together.
Mm,
Uh, so the story itself is just really great. I'm really excited. We start shooting that in August,
okay.
and we'll be in New Mexico shooting that. So I'm really excited about that. And Travis Mills, great director. We have a lot of mutual friends together. I'm excited to work with him. We actually just had creative talks yesterday. We were chatting on the phone about this. So it's exciting. I've got that. I've got two action movies coming out that I just finished. One's called Shadow Paradise. Another one I did called President Down, which is a political thriller.
Okay.
Stoked about that. And there's a Western I just did that's coming out called The Gunfighters, supernatural Western.
Okay.
There's a
Ooh.
lot. There's a lot going on, and so it's exciting. A lot of really good stuff. I'm grateful to stay busy, and yeah.
Something about you lighten up about Don't Forget Me Tomorrow. There's something about your energy that just really, yeah. So I'm now obviously I'm checking them out, all of them out, but something was special about when you was talking about that.
It's a
So we're
good
going to
one.
see.
The script is so good. I'm really personally excited about that one. The script is excellent.
Yeah,
As soon as I read it, I was like, I want to be a part of this no matter what. Like
yeah,
I'm doing this. It's a great showcase for both characters and everyone involved. There's just a lot going on. It's a lot of emotions,
yeah.
and what I love about it is that it's kind of stories that I love. It's like this small town Americana drama. There's no
Okay,
crazy special effects. There's no superheroes. There's nothing like that. It's just a
grounded.
character-driven story that you're on the ride with, and you're with them through the whole experience, and it's a good journey. You'll appreciate it.
All right, I'm tuned in for that. The last question I want to ask you here is, anybody who's a fan of yours, anybody who keeps up with you, knows that if there's one thing that you love amongst everything, it is animals.
Yes.
Where do we go with this? Like, what is the relationship with your own pets, other animals, spotlighting them, helping aid, and I imagine others in terms of the care, the relationship, the love you have for them. Are you even giving dogs or any type of animals roles in any of your projects? Just ultimately, man, like everybody loves a good companion that's four-legged, no matter if it's a cat or dog, whatever it may be. But you really do love it, and you display it in a way that feels so natural, so organic. And I think a lot of people gravitate towards that. And then I think it's just a show of your character. But like, what have like that relationship with animals and pets meant to you personally, and then ultimately the using your platform to spotlight that and to bring others in. Like, what has that meant for you in terms of your career?
Well, I really appreciate you highlighting that. Animals just mean so much to me. They really do need a extra voice to help them because they, can't speak for themselves, and they mean so much to me. Animals, all animals want to do is love and
Yeah,
bring joy into our lives. And it's like when people just realize it's it's not that hard to take in an animal and bring them into your home and
yeah.
feed them, walk them, and give them love because they will literally give you love that is priceless forever. And
Yeah.
I've got two pit bulls. One of them's he's a three-legged tripod. Rescued him from Mexico. On paper, if you were to say like you would just look at what it took to get him to my house and to have him here, like you'd be like, oh my God, it's way too stressful, it costs too much, like
Yeah.
he's in Mexico. But it's like we just made it work. And then when he
Yeah.
was here, I was supposed to foster him, and he ended up living here, and he was just now he's such a joy. I can't imagine my life without him. He has taught me so much of his own resilience that he can love, and the things that he's gone through, having his arm removed twice,
Yeah.
and that he still runs around and plays. Animals teach us so much more than I think we give credit for. They're so resilient and amazing. No matter what, they could be blind, they could have no legs, and they're is never hindered. And I think that's something that's so important. And one of the reasons I love helping animals and helping dog rescues. All animals, all animals.
Yeah.
So thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. You're a stand-up guy. I enjoy talking to you so much. And I don't have to milk it all right now because you got so many other projects I'm sure we're going to reconnect with. But in the time being, I truly do mean this because I've seen this statement be put out there about other recent films about this is the film we need. And that's fine. You like what you like. But I do truly feel when you have a film that's so unpredictable but so much fun, that has so many notable names, so much good heart and camaraderie amongst folks. Uh, that's what we need. There's a lot of BS going on. I've been saying like a lot of like negativity, but I'm getting more. The more and more I think about it, the more and more my dialogue is starting to become more and more loose. But there's so much BS out there right now that we thank the folks like yourself that go out there and provide us entertainment, but do it in a tasteful way that removes us from the BS that occurs. And this is just another one of those projects that you go in it, you get into it, you don't know what's going to come, but I guarantee when you leave out of here, you're going to be laughing like, holy hell, what a ride with amazing people. And that's no other than Killing Mary Sue. Again, it's available on demand digital. So that means you can sit on your couch right now and check it out. And then with all things Jesse, just keep your eyes glued because he got endless projects to go. And if you need some warm and fuzzies, well, watch his social media because all the cute fur babies are on there daily. Jesse, thank you so much for your time. It's been a complete joy, and I hope to talk to you again very soon.
Dude, we'll follow each other, man. On shoot me a message. I would love to support you in any way I can as well. Thank you, man.
I
This has been
appreciate
great.
you, brother. Absolutely. Anytime. Thank you so much for your time.
Keep it up.
Ridiculous.